Are you trying to be more productive? Get more accomplished in your business? Hi, this is Justin Hitt from the bowels of hell, which is my office. I know everybody's got their nice, neat, little, beautiful office, but look, if you want to get things done, sometimes you just have to do it. Getting things done is the part of three things. The first thing is to make a decision to get something done. Very often, just making the decision gets it done. Because when you decide, you're probably about 80% complete. For example, I need to be doing some podcasts. I decided to do a podcast. The next part was process. Part 2, process. The process is to set up the camera, to set up the microphone. But you know what? I could set up a studio, but I'm already sitting at my desk working over here. Why don't I just go ahead and turn the camera on, put the headset on so I get some good quality sound? If the video sucks, and it confuses people, because look, I could put a little box here, a little box here with some slides or something, and on the other side, I could put, I don't know, something else. I don't care. Chinese language down the side for the translation. It doesn't matter, but the task at hand would be done. So one, decide to do what the hell it is that you're going to do. Number 2, have a process in place to do it. And number 3, have artifacts associated with that process. So that's evidence that the work has been done, because that provides some gratification for yourself to help you pick up and move to the next level. Also, it helps you teach someone else what the next step is, because the process is going to say idea, in case of the podcast, idea, production, post-production. Now, all that's important, but it would be a disservice if I didn't mention the importance of purpose across all that. So, decide, process, artifacts. However, if I didn't have a purpose, I could be producing the wrong materials. I have hundreds and hundreds of hours, gigabytes of hours of podcasts, of videos, of presentations I did in front of clients. Sometimes, for example, a client will say to me, "Hey, Justin, how do I do such and such?" And I just won't have the time to support them right then and there. But what I'll do, because I want to multiply my time, is I will do this kind of like little video segment. And I'll say, "Hey, I'll pretend I'm talking to the customer. "Hey, Mr. Customer, if you want to get more done, here are the 3 things you need to do. You need to decide to get more done. Number 2, you need to have processes that help you get more done. Number 3 is you have to have artifacts and evidence that you got more done." And then I'll expand it. Purpose. What is the purpose? See, I'm using a process and a system right here with you today. What is the purpose? Well, it doesn't matter, and I wrote this in my diary. I got these little diaries. I pick them up for $4 at Marshall's, for example, because you know I am thrifty, and I'm not going to spend money and waste it. So this is a $23. As Jim Rohn says, why would you spend $23 on an empty book? You'd spend $23 on an empty book because of what you're going to put in it. Well, you know what, Jim Rohn? I say, why spend $23 on a book when you can spend $4.99 at Marshall's and get the same book? Actually, a beautiful leather cover. Beautiful leather. And it has a J on it. Not all of them have, this one has an A on it for some reason. I just finished this one. This is January through December. Okay, so these journals have some powerful thing to do with the purpose. And by the way, Office looks like crap, but I can get stuff. I can reach things. Okay? Purpose is critical to getting things done. But alone, it won't do the job. So if you have the intention, the purpose, the desire to do things, and you don't actually decide, process, and have artifacts and evidence, then you won't know that you're doing the right thing. So one of the ways I use artifacts is my journals. So instead of having, which I do have piles of paper everywhere, okay, but the majority of the really important stuff is in the journal. So I wrote on the inside of this journal when I was thinking about this particular question is it doesn't matter how much more you get done if you are doing the wrong things. Focus on root cause of what you want from your life. See, when we do root cause analysis, we focus on the root, what caused this problem? Why do we have this problem in our life? So if you have a delta, a difference between where you are and where you want to be, then that is the problem. That is the challenge. What caused this to happen? Now, some people who decide to be victims will say, well, it's the government. Obama just increased taxes. God damn it. How am I going to make any money in my business when I'm spending an extra 6.8% on this? And oh my gosh, the economy sucks. Very easy to do. And see, that's why we have artifacts. We have to have evidence of reality. Well, the root cause is what is the root cause that's keeping you from where you want to be, or that is causing or allowing behaviors that where you're not implementing your process, where you're not making decisions. When I look at my P&L, profit and loss, and I see that the numbers aren't where I want them to be, first off, I decided up front in my journal, I have a goal sheet. Now, this is just brand new. This one's empty. I need to find things that go in this book that makes it worth my time. But in this other one, I have my goals from the previous year that I've written out in the front page. Okay? So here's some goals. I wrote them out in the page. Didn't have any fancy anything. I wrote them out. I could be sitting on my back porch enjoying some beautiful sunshine, writing in my journal. So all these pages is about purpose. It's about what am I doing? Where do I want to go? What is it that I want to be? How am I going to get there? What are some ideas about getting there? Organized right here in this book. Now here's what's powerful about this whole thing. Is that purpose is the guiding direction and force. So you're going to use a tool. You're going to guide that tool for a specific outcome. Purpose implies outcome. Now, if you're going to find the root cause of why you haven't reached that outcome or why you're not on target for that outcome, it implies that you're measuring something. So your decision, your process, and your artifacts, your measurements come up under the artifacts. That's the key. Your measurements, your analysis, your revisiting what it is that you want, that's where the journal comes in, so that you are regularly thinking about, contemplating. Now, there's a challenge here. You could get stuck in the thinking. A lot of people get stuck in the analysis. The implementation is key. Now, how do you do the implementation? Here's the last thing I wrote on this particular item. You're going to get there, and look, I didn't even do it right the first time. I said get that. So you're going to get there as a destination. Here, let me use a red one here. You're going to look how convenient that is. Looks like crap. Nice, convenient. Okay, you're going to get there as in destination by creating value for others. Listen, Robert Ringer talks about the winnable deal. That's a deal that you have set up over the years where that customer already knows the reasons why they're going to do business with you. They sought you out. They know that you're the solution provider for what it is that they face. They have made a decision to do business with you. You've helped define a process of getting a solution that includes your service as a service provider. And as an electrical contractor, for example, it's every procurement manager knowing exactly who you are and what it is that you do and why you're different. And that is done through the artifacts that people interact with. An artifact is something that explains a culture, explains an event. It gives context to history. An archaeologist, when they find an artifact, that artifact speaks on behalf of the person who created the artifact. So if you want to get more done, even before the trite tips on delegation and things, you need to have that process in place, evidentialized through the artifact. And what makes that happen without any, the slippery slope type of thing, the zero friction? They talk about zero resistance selling. Well, this one thing makes it zero resistance. So you have a purpose. That's about you. Okay? Your purpose is your purpose. It's what you want for your life. That purpose identifies the delta between where you are and where you want to be. So the remaining piece here, this is powerful stuff. I want you to listen to this and understand it. The powerful bridge is the value you create for others. You get there by creating value for others. See, a lot of people, if you ask them, why haven't you gotten to where you want to be? They say, well, you know what? The government. So they point to some external person. That person. It's the government. My mother-in-law and, my wife. Okay, all that's excuse. The way you get those people to support you and you leverage their energy, that they focus on you, that energy, let's say that every complaint you have is valid. Okay, I get customers. I say, well, why don't you have the numbers that you want? What obstacles are in the way? And they have a list of obstacles from here down here and then all the way around the building and all the way back around to you. Okay, here's the thing. Every one of those obstacles, if they are, I assume they're legitimate. Okay, because they're at least legitimate in the mind of the individual. There's energy that the other person is using to get in your way. Now, I have a background in martial arts. I have a black belt in an Okinawan style of Shorin martial arts. Okay, so I learned about the different types of martial arts. In Aikido, which we studied as a tangential, so we studied Aikido in a way to better learn the martial art, the Okinawan style martial art that we learned. We studied a lot of history, but in Aikido they shift energy. So fighting isn't about strength as much as fighting is about the use of energy and force. So if someone is legitimately in your way, your arch nemesis, for example. I have an arch nemesis, for example. I'll tell you about it in another program. But the arch nemesis is exerting energy, whether they know it or not, to block you. Like cock blocking or something. I don't know. But there's something there in your mind where you're seeing an effort by another person to get in the way of what it is that you want. Okay, but I tell you, there's nothing between the brain and the mouth. If it comes in the brain, it's going out the mouth. So here's the thing, and this is a take home. That energy, whether it's real or perceived, can be used in your advantage. So we have the decision to take action. You want to get more done? You make a decision to get more done. You have processes. These processes just isn't what you do. It's the world around you. The process of the world around you can work towards your goal or push away from your goal. There's evidence in the artifacts. But here's the thing. This is what's powerful. Using your purpose to define where you want to be, you can also use that purpose to define where other people want to be. Understanding where other people want to be, you can now leverage the value in creation. So what it is that you do, what it is that I do, for example, is help you get past obstacles in your business so that you can create and keep profitable customers. Here's what's interesting. Everybody that gets in the way, even your competitors, they are exerting some kind of energy to get in the way. I'm assuming that they are legitimately doing this. But even if they're not, your mental picture of what they're doing creates energy or blockages in your focus on your energy and gets in the way. So when someone tells me they can't get more done because their employees are asking too many questions, we want to shift that interruption, and we can do that by the structure of process. How does the employee know about the new process? Well, it's communicated to them in an artifact. Because if you communicate it to them physically, every time they come in the office, you say, look, Joe, this is not a good time. You saw the door was closed. Stop calling my cell phone. It doesn't connect the same way as if a memo goes out and says, here are the 3 ways to contact the boss man so that we can get more accomplished. And maybe there's some things that you identify that they can self-service. And so you explain, if this problem comes up, you contact accounts payable. If this problem comes up, you contact accounts receivable. If this problem, see, it's like a bucketing system. Now, by understanding what other people's purposes are and what other people want, you can create value. And through that value, you gain the exchange, which produces for you money, time, and resources. Okay? This money, time, and resources is then applied through a process, measured through the artifact, but it's the decision, that perspective of the mind, that helps you shift that energy to move you to the next level. Now, if I was when I see this in my mind, it's like the Olympic rings. There's these interconnected circles, and your objective is not the larger picture. Your objective is to find where the interactions are. So if you want to get more done in your life, for example, you want to accomplish more at work so that you increase more and create more sales. The sales result, why do you want to do that? What's the purpose behind more sales? A lot of people will tell me is so that they can have a greater net worth and greater security in their family. Well, looking at this, documenting those different circles, those different rings, and that's actually called a Venn diagram, where you have two circles and they interact at a certain point. The interaction is where you focus your energy and effort. And rather than getting more done as a bulk, you're now getting more done as a value context, which then gives other people what they want, shifts their energy to support you. Even your worst enemy, somebody who goes out of their way to be a dick to you, okay? Somebody that goes out of the way, maybe it's somebody at your trade association, goes out of their way to steal your very best customers. They're doing that for a reason. And I talk about this in my Subjugate Your Competitors program, but I'll give you the gist of it right now, because it's a great demonstration of what we've been talking about. Your competitor that goes out of their way to steal your very best customers, what would happen if you gave them your very best customers? Or if you don't want to give them your very best customers, why don't you give them your very worst customers? And this is the old, here's the secret, okay? They don't know whether it's your best customers or your worst customers. Their motivation is by jabbing you, okay, is by getting you, is that look that you give them when you're at a association general contractors meeting. That look, they got the whole table over there, and you got just one seat, and you're looking at them going, Darren, you stole my very best customers, okay? You can still give them that look if that's where you get satisfaction, but the truth of it is they don't know whether they took your best customer or they took your worst customer. And if you're using the profitable customer segmentation strategies that we talk about, you can in fact give them your worst customers. They get the satisfaction of taking a customer, and you can still give them the look. It's kind of weird seeing myself. Anyway, you can give them the look and give them what they're looking for, but meanwhile they're taking the worst of your customers and helping you focus more of your energy on your better customers. It's the Tom Sawyer paint the fence. Tom Sawyer is painting the fence, and he's having a great time. It looks wonderful, and somebody else comes up and says, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm painting the fence. Oh, this is so exciting. And the other guy says, well, I want to paint a fence too. And Tom Sawyer says, well, not everybody can paint the fence. And he says, what do you mean? And Tom Sawyer's having a good time. He says, well, it takes a special type of person. It takes, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm not Mark Twain by any means. And he's painting the fence, and he says, well, let me try. And he says, well, okay, you can try it. The other guy's painting the fence. Now, social pressure starts coming in when other people come up and say, what are you doing? Well, he's going to respond the same way he saw Tom Sawyer respond and says, well, I'm painting the fence. You want to give it a try, because he's not going to be as strong in the resolve. He won't know the reason he's doing it. He won't have that purpose clearly defined. So the other guy's painting the fence, and eventually you got 4 or 5 people painting the fence, and they're doing Tom Sawyer's job. Well, in the same thing that your competitors want to steal your very best customers, you can give them your worst customers, tell them they're your very best, and say, well, Jim, you got that one this week, and you're killing me here. You're killing me. I don't know what's going on. You're taking my very best customers. But meanwhile, you're off on some niche using under the radar marketing so that you gain these customers. And next thing you know, your competitor becomes a pretty reliable subcontractor for a certain segment of work. Now, they're going to be better at some things than others, but while you're focusing on your niche strength, the meaningful and purposeful work that you're supposed to be doing, you're going to start generating greater profits, greater growth, and a stronger position. And essentially, what you're going to do is be in a position where you're so strong that it doesn't matter what they do, because in fact, you could profit from what they do, but you will gain that strength in an underground, hidden way. So essentially, hidden from their perspective. And because you're doing it hidden from their perspective, you're able to design the processes you need to maintain the back end. You're able to create the evidence inside your organization that helps you define and move forward your work. You're able to decide to do things that are important. So you decide to do the most important work for your most profitable customers, your niche, your nest egg, your cash flow, your cash cows, and you decide to give up those customers that really are a pain in the ass anyway. And now your competitor is burdened down with these pain in the ass customers, but believes and actually sets up some cognitive dissonance where they believe they're doing something that's hurting you, if that was their intention. And the assumption in this example is their intention is to hurt you and they're stealing your customers. I've heard so many, I don't mean to giggle, I've heard so many electrical contractors come to me and say, you know what, I would be bigger in this marketplace, I would have more sales in this marketplace if my competitor wasn't taking my best customers. They're not taking them, you're giving them away. Okay? They tell me, well, you know what? I would just be so much more profitable if these big companies weren't jacking up the prices and undercutting me and making it expensive in the marketplace, because you know what, they can afford to pay the supply house more money, and that's causing my cost. No, dude, this is the power of strategic relations, okay? And it's completely psychotically crazy in the way it's approached. But what is it that motivates this person, perceived or real? What is it that motivates this person to be against you? How could that energy be used to be for you? How could you shift the environment in such a way that their motivations actually supports your growth? How can you structure the environment so that you get more of the important things done and this other work is taken away? In the example of your employees interrupting you all day, some simple structure in your environment. For example, I work in a home office. I do most of my meetings scheduled. In fact, it's going to be a rare time where you'll be able just to call my office and get me on the phone. And no matter how much I want to help you when you call, I'm probably doing billable work. So the key things that I'm going to do is I'm going to find out who you are, how to contact you back. I'm going to flip you over to my assistant. I'm either going to do it with a live transfer. I'm going to say, Jim, I really appreciate you calling today. I thank you for calling. I'm going to have to, though, switch you over to my assistant because I'm in the middle of something else. And my assistant will schedule time on my calendar where we can have this conversation and where I can focus on your needs. Now, how is the other person could argue? They could say it's emergency. And then my response would be, are you a platinum member? And they'll say no. I say, well, are you a gold member? No. Did you send in a consultation coupon with a pre-consultation survey so that I can focus specifically on your needs? They're going to say no. I said, well, then I'm going to need to transfer you to my assistant. I'm getting off the phone. Now, you don't have to be like that, but why not? You are the boss. You are the person who has invested their life and put so much on the line to make this company where it is today. Companies don't get to $1 million by happenstance. You're not lucky for getting to be $1 million business. So when one of the dudes in one of your technicians comes in and interrupts your day, it needs to be important. It might be a sign that you need a foreman. Okay, but analyzing the situation, looking it over and thinking about it, that's why I use the journals. Okay, I've got hundreds of these things around the offices. You can see that in the background. These journals become work binders. The key of it is that you can say, Joe, I really appreciate you coming in here today, and I understand you have a problem. Have you talked with your supervisor about this problem? And they'll say, well, no. And I'll say, well, you don't ask why. You say, well, talk with your supervisor, and then if it needs to be escalated to me, I'd appreciate if you could do it in writing. That way I can sit down and think about the situation and focus specifically on what your needs are. Is that okay, Joe? And they'll say, no, I got the issue problem right now. Well, Joe, we have a lot of customers with problems too. And I'd love to take care of this issue. Here's a pad of paper and a pen. Just jot down a note. And what I'll do is I promise I'll have someone call you this afternoon, and we'll schedule time on my calendar to make sure I can focus on your thing. But right now, I got all this shit going on. And if I don't take care of all this stuff, I won't be able to focus on the challenge that you have. Is that fair, Joe? And 9 times out of 10, Joe's he's gonna work it out. He's gonna talk to his supervisor. The issue's gonna be resolved. Now, of course, if he talks to his supervisor and then the supervisor runs in the office, then you got other problems, and then you have to do the same thing to the supervisor. And it is quite possible, unless you close the door or go off to a remote work site, don't go to Starbucks, but go off to a remote office, and I recommend you have a home office. I don't care if it's a dump like this, okay? And it gets better, but it could be a closet in your basement, okay? The whole concept of man caves is about being able to get away. And I know a lot of you got really nice man caves, okay? I played pool at some of your houses, and you got a nice man cave, okay? Find that space for you. And if you end up having to explain that, hey, Joe, I understand, if you do that more than a couple times, maybe you don't need Joe working for you. If your supervisors come in and they interrupt and they can't handle certain things by themselves, well, then maybe you need different supervisors. But there will be a period where you're going to have to make some tough decisions, and you have to retrain people around the new process, and then there have to be evidence that this new process is better so that they'll stick to it. But it really is about creating value with other people. So it's empowering your employees so they can make decisions on their own. It is working with your staff so that they can work more independently. It is taking out of your mind those things that you believe now that you've got to do yourself, but really, honestly, you're never going to get free of your business if you've got to do it. If you're the bottleneck and you're required in your organization to maintain profits, you won't get to 10 million. You won't get to 50 million. You won't get to 100 million. And you definitely won't get enough in your retirement account for your retirement money to outlive you. Here's the bottom line. It is the 3 key elements governed by purpose and value, but it is deciding to make to make a decision. Now, if you need help making decisions, we have programs about decision making. But it's the decision to get more done, more of the important things, the process around those activities that need to be done on a regular, consistent basis. It is artifacts about the benefit. Why is it that we do this? The benefit. Those artifacts are critical. All this governed by the purpose guided by the delta between where you want to be and where you are today. And finally, value you deliver to others. If Joe comes into your office and you say, Joe, this isn't the right time, but I'll tell you what, write down what's going on, give it to my assistant. They will put you on the calendar where I can focus specifically on your needs, okay? Because this sounds important, but right now I don't have the time to get the details. But Joe, I guarantee we'll sit down and talk about your issue. Your assistant gets it on your calendar, and you sit down with Joe, and you turn out all the other distractions, and you say, Joe, let's look at this. And it may be something that you have to handle. Okay, maybe Joe's having problems with his supervisor. Maybe Joe has been working for you for 20 years. It's about time he was the supervisor. But it doesn't matter what that is. You'll be able to sit down and focus on it. Now, let's say you get interrupted while you're working with Joe, and you say to this next person, I'm working with Joe right now, and we're focused on a very important issue. And if you'll write down whatever's going on and give it to the assistant will get you on the schedule. We'll be sure you're taken care of. Joe's going to say, this man's listening to me. This man believes I'm important. This man knows I'm important. This man is investing in me as an individual, and he's going to give me, it's going to improve the value of your solution if you have one. But this is a focused attention. This may be the first time that anybody's ever paid attention to Joe. And Joe might be alarmed about the problem he faces because of internal issues. Now, you don't need to go into the psychology of it, but this shows your power in an environment. It shows how powerful you are and how you position and how you are the leader in this environment. It outlines you as the alpha because you shaped the world around you, at least in this workplace, to make things happen. And now Joe's going to sit down and Joe's going to be ready because he knows he only has 15 minutes of your time. And you're going to be able to then give him a solution if one is appropriate. You're going to be able to delegate that and say, Joe, I understand your situation. We need to take that up in human resources. Okay? I appreciate what you're talking about here, and I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. Here's the next step. And in 7 days, I want you to come back to me and tell me how things are coming along. Let's go ahead and get you on the calendar. The calendar, which is an artifact, becomes a control mechanism to shape your environment, to make the world around you work according to your purpose, your needs and desires, your goals. Now, it's not going to be easy at first, but if you want to get more done, you really have to move to that next level where you're doing the more important things. Because getting more done is only a symptom. It only feels like, I work 40, 50, 70, 80 hours a week, and this is all I get done. It's more about getting the right things done. And then you don't have to work as many hours. Because if you look at your week, out of that 70 hours, and I actually have, I'm going to grab it over here. I put this in a binder now. It's hard to see against black on black there. There we go. I have months, and you don't have to follow my system here. I'm just showing you that I'm using this stuff and that I'm actually, I'm not just making this shit up. I work with Fortune 100 companies. I work with many $1 million to $10 million electrical contractors. I work with procurement professionals. I have a business. There's like people working while I'm here talking to you. But interesting enough, I only need to talk to you one time. And if you have additional questions, we'll put additional programs up. But literally, here is a work log. Get the right contrast there. Do you see that? Where I'm tracking what I'm doing all the courses of the day. I got this from Pete Moyer, who is my sales manager when I work for Domestic Fuels. He said, look, Justin, if you want to earn more money, what you need to do is keep track of what you're doing and identify which activities earn you more money and which activities don't. Stop doing the activities that don't earn you money. Start doing the activities that do earn you money. And presto, holy crap, I made more money. Now, that was a time in my life I had made more money in the past, and I was frustrated because I had not made it as much in those periods. I think it's about 2005. That advice took me to the next level. Now, where did he get that advice? He got it from Tom Hopkins. In fact, he invested in a coaching program with Tom Hopkins. I think he also invested in a program with Jim Rohn. And that advice he used to far exceed what my expectations were for myself. But sharing that advice of tracking what you do, what you don't do, what items contributed to the results, what items detracted from the results, stop doing the detractors, keep doing the contributors. You see how that works? You see how powerful that is? This is getting more done. All that bullshit you're going to see online, okay, about getting more accomplished. With this information that we've shared here today in practical practice. Now, it could be a journal, a work journal. It could be a day timer. It could be an electronic calendar. I like the physical elements because there are some tactile sensations that you gain from physical work that your brain's more adapted to that. But it could be an electronic calendar on the screen. A lot of times when you're using delegation and you're utilizing an assistant, this type of book is primarily for your journal, for your thoughts, for your collections of ideas. Your digital calendar, your digital Zola's over here moving around. Your digital calendar is where you want to be for your delegation. Some of my assistants are not in this part of the United States because I do a follow the sun, so that I can schedule 24 hours a day for my clients. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what the artifact is. The key is that there's an artifact there. And that artifact, pardon me, tea time. Folks, I'm just being myself. I spent a lot of years trying to be somebody else, and I got screwed. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Here's what's critical and important about all of this. This is seriously a 3-step approach. These are steps that govern behavior, and it's your behavior that we're most concerned about. However, the behavior of others can be shifted, and this is highly manipulative. The behavior of others, through their purposes, their intention, their desires, can be shifted to reinforce what it is that you do. This is most easily done through the creation of value, and value perceived by individuals motivates. Every value has a disvalue, so by tracking the work that you do, organizing that work into process, focusing on the most valuable elements, naturally you're going to get more of what it is that you want. Getting more done is a symptom. Okay? I'd love to get more done, but I'm not going to be able to do it myself. Therefore, I'm going to have to settle with things not being perfect the way I want them to be sometimes. But through other people, you can get a tremendous amount of things done. I work right now for a Fortune 100 financial services firm. In the past, I've worked for Bank of America, I've worked for Citibank, I've worked for a bunch of different other financial services firms in their IT services department. In none of these positions have I been a senior level manager. However, we're interacting with senior level people all the time. And I am able to use their proxy to get hundreds of people to do things. For example, where I'm working today, I have operations meetings that each have 25 or so engineers. These engineers, I am not their supervisor. Yet through the reports, the artifacts, through the means and measures of I am able to modify behavior, and also the processes in place, I'm able to work with their teams, and we integrate process. It doesn't always work out, but the best interest of their own desires is the greatest motivating factor. So these 50 or so people that I am just a facilitator. I just facilitate. I don't tell them what to do. I help them discover in themselves what to do. And there's a secret in that helps you get more done. Those individuals will kick off change requests or work orders that are then implemented by 3,500 individuals. Now, I'm very self-focused, and I encourage you to be self-focused too. But as a leader of an organization, you are the catalyst for results and change. So if you want to get more done, you have to disconnect from you getting more done and look at the collective organization. How does the organization get more done? But is it that you really want to do more, or do you want to earn more? Is it that you want to do more, or do you want to accomplish more? And you shift through the prioritizations to do those, to focus your energy. And I'm the last person to talk about focus. I get distracted doing a video program. But that focus of energy, even though I'm all over the place and I have behavioral challenges that cause me to be all over the place and I get distracted and I don't know what the hell's going on sometimes. I'm still able in the times that I'm lucid to focus on, and I'm exaggerating, okay? But to focus on the points that have the greatest impact. Whether it's in my gardening, whether it's in my service to clients, whether it is in my work for the Fortune 100s or the $1 million plus electrical contractors, the value comes not on the volume of what's done. The value comes on the accomplishment, the results-driven accomplishment that maybe a lot of people don't recognize up front, that you have to create artifacts to identify. So it's the kudos letters, the thank you notes. I've probably gone on quite a long time for we're 39 minutes in, and this was really meant to be like maybe a 5 or 10 minute podcast. If this is a topic that you're interested in, we have specific coaching in the platinum level, specific coaching in the gold level that will go into this for your organization. Because one of the challenges that you'll face is that there are 3 steps: the decide to get more done, processes that get more done, artifacts that give evidence of whether you're doing the right things or not. There is your purpose, there is your value creation. How those things fit together for your organization would depend on the available resources. You don't need some outside thing to help you get to the next level. Very often you have all the resources that you need. The key is that catalyst. How are you going to shift your environment to reinforce the behaviors that you desire? How are you going to implement tools like the calendar so that others are internally channeled through ways that you can most productively deliver value to them? I didn't get into efficiency versus effectiveness. Gary Halbert talks about that in marketing, and I really believe that also works in other areas of your business. I believe one of the leverage points in your business for getting more done is on your sales and marketing side. You don't get to $1 million if your service department's crap. You usually have a decent service department because there's a lot of focus on what you do. I want to get you past what you do. I think it's about time to graduate from just what you do and to get to how you do it for certain people, or how what you do generates value for certain people. And then through that value, we're going to tune around your P&L, profit and loss, because most often people ask about getting more done as a perspective of earning more money. But there's also the perspective of, are you able to spend the time with your family that you want? Are you able to take a fishing trip or golf trip or a hunting trip? It's December now, and I think it's doe season here. If you want to go out and hunt, then how do you have the time to hunt? If you want to support conservation activities, which is a big thing that I'm getting into, how do you have the time to do that? Well, you have the time to do that by other people getting more done for you. Okay? This is about you being the orchestrator. Okay? This is about you standing up in front of a group and wave of your hand, things get accomplished. Now, they get accomplished within the frameworks that you've defined, but they get accomplished. So if you want to get more done in your business, you have to focus on the right things getting done. The 3 steps we talked about, listen to this program again, the 2 governing factors. That's it. That's as fundamental as it gets. So fundamental, I didn't come up with any of it. I've just discovered it over time and had the opportunity to apply it in organizations to get massive results. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations, and I'm here to say, yes, you can create and keep profitable customers and turn every business relationship into profits guaranteed. This has been program J1215A. Thank you for listening.